Welcome to Saints on Cinema. I am Tim Wilde, and with me tonight is Andrew and Lance, guest starring in this very special episode. The reason Josh isn't joining us is because tonight we're discussing everything I didn't like about the Skyscraper movie. And of the three of us, Andrew thought it was okay. I was annoyed by a lot of things, and Lance hasn't seen it yet. But Josh specifically erred not to see it. Chose, elected, that's what I was looking for, elected not to see it, in spite of everyone on our Facebook page saying, yes, go see it. He chose not to see it, even though he's a huge rock fan. I'm not a huge rock fan, but I was intrigued by this movie because it was he just does not look good, doesn't look appealing to him.
I'm with it.
Okay. Okay, and as an impartial person who doesn't care about the spoilers, Andrew saw it. So at least I have someone to interact with who's seen it, because I just had a few questions about things that were annoying to me, and two, someone that can understand my frustrations about a few things. But before we get into this episode, I just want to mention that Die Hard was a great movie, and this has come up a lot. The Christmas story. Movie. And it was Die Hard a Christmas movie? I've never heard you chime in on that.
It takes place around Christmas time. You see it at Christmas time all the time. But
I have so many reasons why
it has nothing to do with Christmas, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, that's fine, and that's a common consensus. But anyway, the Skyscraper movie from the previews and everything, it was totally a reimagining in my mind of the Die Hard movie. So I was just saying, this has come up in a lot of conversations about this movie. Skyscraper seems like just a rip-off of the Die Hard movie, the first one. But I saw a lot of movies that it kind of pulled from, but the problem I had with it was none of these elements that it stole from these other movies worked. So that's what I was going to talk about. So first of all, just to break down the synopsis, make sure I understood everything, Andrew, and this is what was dumb about it. We have The Rock, and they started the movie. In the first scene of the movie, we have him. Spoilers, by the way. Big spoiler alert. Lance doesn't care, but if you do, then go watch it. Then come back to my list of grievances. Anyway, so here's The Rock. Now, The Rock plays a special forces guy.
FBI, show me your hands.
Went into a situation, and he had a showdown with a guy with explosives, and it was a hostage situation. Really cool scene. Really set the attention. The music was really good. Well, yeah. But it was a really good setup, and I was like, okay, I'm actually engaged, and it was really well done. I thought the visuals, the nighttime, the infiltration, taking out the thing, and the moment with the guy, it reminded me of The Sixth Sense. Did you see Sixth Sense? I don't remember. I like The Sixth Sense because at the very beginning it had that tragedy, which I can't remember exactly what happened, but it really sucked you in. You're like, whoa, yeah. It's when, yeah.
Patience.
Spoilers. Anyway, but that's in the beginning of the movie. So I was like, wow, this is actually engaging. And it's like, okay, 10 years later or whatever. Now he's like, I couldn't figure it out. He was like a fire marshal or some special guy. What was he supposed to be? He was going in to inspect the Tanaka building. I mean, the Pearl.
He was a government inspector. So it really wasn't clear.
No.
I also thought that was annoying because he was there saying, I'm here to do this one thing. He ran diagnostics on the building.
After your security assessment, what do you think of the building?
With all due respect, he's a glorified security guard.
But then it also seemed like he was going to be running the security in the building as well.
It seemed like it was an inspection. It was like a fire inspection or safety inspection.
He ran this
/ you're now head of security kind of it was like weird.
Didn't make a lot of sense.
So I thought that's all it was.
That's a theme throughout the movie. Didn't make a lot of sense.
Right. So here's the problem I had. So he goes in there and he lives in the building. Am I right?
Mr. Sawyer, is your family enjoying their stay?
Very much so. They're shocked you gave us the entire floor.
At that point.
That's what I understood. So he lives in the building. This is important for grievance number 12 or something. So he lives in the building underneath the floor, or about floor 90.
Like,
that's
is he one of
pretty
those
high
guys that
up.
it's like floor 94.
Yeah.
93
He's
is the
a
one that gets
little above, yeah.
Is he like one of those guys that like is not supposed to live in the building, but like
No, he's just there. So the building, is like, half residential, and then like the waterfall and the garden and all that stuff, and then the ridiculous rooms at the top that have no practical purposes for anything other than to have a video game ending to the movie. But anyway, so he lives there in the building, so he's already familiar with it, and then he is going on this inspection, and he's handed by Mr. The bad guy from the Joker. Yeah, the Dark Knight, the bad guy that they gave all the mob money to. Apparently now we know what he did with that money. He took all the mob money and built this tower. Because you never saw the Joker kill him. Yeah, it's the same guy. And he's like this. He plays the exact same guy. And I swear he even almost said, like, I'm good. He's even talking about money and the statistics and everything. He's like, I was like, he's gonna say the line. He's like, I'm really good with calculations. He was. I was like, well, this guy's really good. So anyway, so he's in there, and this entire thing was his entire life in the creation of this building, and he hands a tablet to The Rock.
Like an iPad?
Yes, an actual, yeah. And he says, you're going to hold this up to your face, it's going to scan your face, and then your face is the only one that can unlock this tablet. Now, the thing is this tablet, the whole point of this was to give him complete control and all the information over everything in the building. That was just a plot device. But my problem is, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just, hey, we're just going to go on this tour for a couple of hours, inspect it during this one day? Why wouldn't they just have someone go with them? Because they even had a conversation, and he's like, oh, you're not even one of those well-known people. You're just some private guy, which was, they were trying to position him so they could steal the tablet. And it's very clear and predictable. But it was like, that makes no sense why they would give him complete and open control to the entire building.
Okay, here's one.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, right? But I was like, why are they doing this? Have an escort. There's like a freaking corporation of guys. And he even says the whole point of the plot was for the bad guys, the terrorists or whatever.
The flash drive had the secrets to all of the different mobs. Or like,
from Gotham?
No, you didn't catch this?
No, I missed that part.
So they were extorting money from him. So he gave them money, and he had some algorithm that tracked the money.
Right. That's right. All the information, all that, yeah.
So he could then take down the mob.
Because I'm good with calculations. Just Batman called it. See, Batman is about to infiltrate this building if the Rock didn't get to it first.
How much longer before we is the mob even really a thing anymore? Is it 1980?
It's just they're just characters in movies now. Anyway, so yeah, I was like lost. I was like, okay, so they're gonna get this tablet that has all the information in the building just so they can sabotage and destroy the building to get to the flash drive. And I was like, okay, Mr. Tanaka gave him the access to do all that, and it's just some guy he met that afternoon with his whole life passion. He was gonna kill. At the end, he was going to kill the guys, sacrifice his daughter to protect this flash drive. But, I'm just going to give some unknown guy just complete control over the entire building.
It doesn't make
ridiculous.
Sense.
Anyway.
It really doesn't make sense.
So I was like, okay. So you knew, obviously, they were going to try and steal the flash drive. So then he goes and he's talking to his buddy.
You ever miss it? I haven't touched a gun in 10 years.
As soon as I saw his buddy, I was like, oh, there's the bad guy. I was like, that guy's going to turn on you and everything.
Makes sense in the book.
Was it a book? Oh, I really hope not. I was like, if this was really a book, it was bad. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I already know what's going to happen. As soon as he took the elevator ride to the top of the Pearl, I was like, oh, there's going to be an action scene there. There's going to be a fight right there. There's going to be this happening here. Now, to its credit, just like in Die Hard, the first thing they did was introduce and give you a perspective of the building. When McClane first gets to LA, he gets dropped off, he looks up, Agent Powell on the street has a moment where he looks up to see a skyscraper.
Really just an excuse for you to talk about Die Hard?
No. I love Die Hard. I could do a whole review on Die Hard. It's not good. Anyway, but then in that movie, they had a few scenes where you saw what was going on each of the floors, and you were able to see when John McClane went through his adventure, him going floor to floor to floor in different rooms for different reasons, so you could see this terrain. This movie, he takes an elevator ride, and you're like, that room, that room, that room, that room. They're all very different, and you were like, okay, here's where all these action sequences are going to happen. And then it happened. So the other thing I couldn't stand. So he goes in. Now he's a paraplegic. Okay, he doesn't have a leg.
He's only missing one.
Was that the def? I don't know. The definition he had to have two. Is para?
So para's two. Parts on all four don't work.
Okay, so
we're educating.
So he's so what is it? Just have one.
It's Latin.
A uniplegic.
I don't know. I think we just call him a cripple or something like that.
That sounds slightly or offensive. It's insensitive. Just like me not knowing what it is anyway. Okay, so here we have him, and I don't understand, first of all, why they did that. As soon as he put on the fake leg, I was like, okay, I think they're just trying to humanize him, because anyone going up again, any other actor going up against The Rock in a fight, and he's just like some security guy, it's obviously going to be like, hey, that's ridiculous, and there's no way this guy's going to stand a chance unless he's missing a leg. No, please, let's Vin Diesel.
You know, it's one thing that I thought was really weird is I'm a pretty tall guy, and so I've noticed how tall actors are. I usually look at how they're coming through doors. And you see how tall they are. But I'm pretty sure Dwayne Johnson's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
But in the movie, the perspective of the camera angles makes him look smaller.
He's like short, like a normal size.
Yeah, they make him look like a small guy.
But depending on the movie,
they make him look really small, and sometimes it makes him look really like awkwardly squat.
Yeah, I did notice that.
The camera frame's a little weird.
It's like the Kylo Ren scene where he's like square.
He had his shirt on.
Yeah. I was amazed The Rock never took his shirt off in this movie. Not once. I was impressed by that. Other actors can learn from that. Anyway, so he's in there, and he doesn't have a leg. And I was like, okay, that's going to play into it. But the second that his friend tries to steal the tablet, and there's the gun, or the standoff with the gun and everything, and they have that little brawl in his apartment. When that happened, it was very inconsistent that the way they're trying to play off his limping during the fight, because the leg is knocked off halfway through the fight, if I remember, or something, and he's like he gets hit on it, and so he's like in this fist fight, rolling around on the ground, standing up, moving across the room and everything, and he's not treating the leg as if like it's not there. I was like, hey, and he wears dress pants, and you can't even tell in the dress pants. It's like a very well done prosthetic, but it didn't make any sense, and I was like, why did they make him handicapped with a fake leg if it's not going to play into the action, you know? And then I learned why later on when he's dangling from the building. But anyway, we'll get to that. So he gets out there, and he suddenly is wanted. They had this big setup where they turned it on him, and the explosion and everything goes off. There's now fire happening on floor number 90. So he's in there watching the news. And he's seeing the flames and everything, and he just ran away from the other guy, and now the cops are chasing after him. He steals the cop's bike, and he gets to the scene where they had to tell us he's a mile away from the building, from this other secret location. So he goes from the secret location back to the building on the motorcycle, and now he's there with all the pedestrians looking up at the fire, and there's the news.
Get back! Whoa, 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 whoa. You don't understand. My family's in there.
Turn around!
And somehow, conveniently, there's a big, huge television right there, which is great because instantly this convict, the cops are like, oh, there he is. He fights off, knocks down a couple of guys, and he runs off. And now all the pedestrians are cheering him on while he's trying to get into the building. I was thinking, like, there's no way any convict that was doing like a live action following of something happening would be watching like a high-speed chase or something, you know, and like the people at home are watching, rooting for the guy in the car. That's never ever happened. But here he goes, and he has to get up 90 floors. Conveniently, he knows 90 floors because he knows where they're at.
Oh, he sees
yeah, he knows where it is. So right there, next to this giant jumbo screen or television, he looks over, and there's this big, huge construction crane, those huge ones. Well, that's a very convenient thing to have there. That's fine. So he has a plan. Since he's a paraplegic and he can't. I'm sorry, he's a uniplegic.
Wait. Are you saying The Rock is?
Yes.
He's missing.
Yeah.
His leg.
Okay.
Yeah. So The Rock now needs to infiltrate the building because his wife is alive. He's on the phone with her. He's Skyping her and everything. And now she's like, drops the phone, and he knows that she's in danger because there's this fire going on.
Sarah, listen to me. The fire is not going to stop. Keep going up. Don't stop. Don't look back.
And terrorists attacking. So he has to get in to take care of his family. So you're like, oh, this is awesome. Just like John McClane. He's going to go in there and fight for his loved ones in danger. So in the matter of minutes, in the time it takes a few cops to break into the door, take an elevator to the top of the thing that's over 90 floors high, The Rock scales the side of it like a ladder with one leg all the way to the top within minutes. How long would it take to climb 90 floors on a regular ladder that had all the rungs and everything?
So it does make a little more sense than Tim's making.
Okay, let's hear it.
So it's tower crane. Tower crane is not 90 stories high.
Okay, so
it's on the top of a building that's being built. The tower crane's probably 200 feet tall.
So in the time the cops got there, he went into another building.
That part doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I was like,
I also think in my memory of the movie, so maybe my memory's wrong, but Tim saw it before I did. The cops didn't know he was at that place at that time. They saw him when he got on the motorcycle and he took off, and I don't think they were able to follow him.
But the cops there on the scene by the time they put it on the news, the pedestrian people were like, oh, there he is. Remember, he knocked down those two guys. So right before he scaled the building.
I don't remember that part.
Because they were like, put your arms around you. And he was like, oh, I got to get to Sarah. Was it Sarah? Was that her name? And he's like, oh, and then he like knocks down the two guys, and then he like ran off. It was right there at the site when he was watching on the jumbotron.
I vaguely remember that, but I thought
because they stole the motorcycle. That's where he was fleeing the scene. So he shows up, but whatever it is, for whatever reason, you see the cops get into the elevator, and now he's racing against time. He's already at the top. He's already extending the cables and everything, and all the mechanisms to reach out as far as he can. And then, really good scene. I'm gonna give it credit. This scene was really, really well done. I gotta say, visually and audibly, the movie was beautiful. I felt like I was in this flaming room. It felt really good. The crackling, the music, and everything. The lighting was really dark, and those angles right. And I felt like I was there, and it was really tense. So he gets in there and he tries to run. He gets the hook to cling into the building right above the floor. It's magic how it gets right up to where it needs to be. Perfect. And so he's going to slide down, but then the thing comes off, and so now he's going to climb up on top and go over and down.
Are you saying the crane? I thought you said the crane wasn't 90 stories.
It went high enough.
So they were building a building, and then the crane was on top of the building.
So he got to the top of this huge, 30 floors of this building to get to the 40 floors. Still 90 floors is a lot.
And then he has to run, and he jumps.
He runs in a very intense run, and it looked really good. And you see that in the trailer.
He's limping when he runs.
Yeah, it looks great. He jumps, and then he lands. And I'm sorry, but the way he lands on the edge that complete cement floor. Yeah. It's like there is no way he can survive that. But then he gets up there and then he turns around like Superman or Spider-Man. And he can hear from 90 floors up all the people on the ground cheering and clapping for him. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, this is ridiculous. He would have been dead and they wouldn't have been cheering. I would have been like, oh, I'm glad I see some guy fall to his death. But it's like, this is the convict the cops are like aiming their guns at. He escapes them into a fiery building and they're like, yeah, go die. They don't know what's going on.
Because they think he's caused the fire.
Yeah, because his old buddy who got him the gig to check the inspection and the security, he did all that just to get him with a tablet because they were arranging to have the tablet stolen. But that was foiled by accident. So now he killed his friend in self-defense, just like Total Recall. It's on Total Recall, same thing. So he escaped, and now the thing is gone. So anyway, so now he's in the building, and now we have Sarah, I think that's her name, scaling up the floor by floor because she can't go down, because somehow this building is on lockdown. But it's only on lockdown unless it's a convenient thing for the main guy who has a watch. Everything is overridden in the entire building. He can't put out the fire. But his watch can control and open any doors conveniently for him to get in and out of his safe and his office as much as he wants. That works perfectly. He can activate the magic invisible room at the top. He can do whatever he wants with that watch, extend the helipad. He just can't turn on the fire hose. That's all he can do with his watch. So he can't put out the fire, and the fire's just scaling higher and higher. And I'm sorry, it looks horrible compared to, see 9/11, how those buildings fell. It was horrible watching this building. They showed it in perspective. Do you know how tall was it? Taller than the Twin Towers? Because in the beginning they showed how big it was compared to the Eiffel Tower.
They talked about how it was the tallest
and the Empire State Building.
Yeah, 90 floors though is not tall.
That wasn't the top though. No, that wasn't the top. That was like a third of the way up.
Okay.
So 90 floors was where the fire started, but there was like the rest of the movie is watching the fire climb to get to the very beginning.
Because before 5 years ago, the tallest building was the Taipei 101 because it had 101 floors. So that's only a third, and yeah, it's the tallest building in the world.
Well, how many floors was the Trade Center?
It wasn't 101.
Really?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so it's a ridiculously tall building that is so tall. It has turbines and everything, and everything. This big, huge atrium and everything in there, and it's crazy. So he gets in there, and as predicted, the park with the waterfall, where the water, I don't know where that's coming from, but somehow the water is not affecting the fire anywhere. They get there. Now, this is like the second room he gets into. Now, there was a moment where The Rock had to stop to fix a wound. I made a note of it.
Pulled it out of his shoulder.
That's right. That's all it was.
What?
Yeah, that's all it was.
After he jumps in, you don't see it happen, but he jumps in, and the very next scene of him is him pulling this big piece of metal out of his arm.
Bar. Do you know what that scene was there for?
So he could drink the vodka.
Yeah, so he said
I mean,
so
that
he's
was
gonna
the
pour
only
it
reason
on it. And and that's reminding me of the classic scene from Die Hard where John McClane is barefoot and they shoot the glass around, so he's forced to walk out of that room or run out of that room in the gunfight with no shoes on, cutting and tearing his feet open.
Pal. Yo, pal, you got a minute?
I'm here, John.
Listen, man, I'm starting to get a bad feeling up here.
And that was one of the most intense scenes. Watch him pick and pull the glass out of his flesh, blood streaming down there in him. He's on the phone with Powell downstairs. He's just in so much pain, talking about it and everything. It was just such an emotional scene to see how human McClane was compared to, in this real life situation. This is a regular guy in this situation. But The Rock is like, I was like, okay, come on, you're trying to grab me with this stuff. But they get Sarah, okay? Now,
back to just when he's doing all of that, right? He conveniently finds a huge roll of duct tape and a small bottle of vodka. Like the convenience, the coincidences in this movie are just—it's
amazing. It's like they wrote these props right where he needed them.
Just wherever he needs something, I'm thirsty. Oh, here's
a
cup of water falls out of the sky into my hand.
Right. So meanwhile, Sarah's in there with their two kids, and they're going in there and trying to get to they're trying to outrun the fire. He had communication with her for a little bit, but she just knows the ins and outs of this building too pretty well. It's pretty amazing. And the tension in those beats of that part of the story felt like Dante's Peak to me, where it's just they get out of this room, but now there's this one, now there's this going on, now there's this going on. It just doesn't they can't get anywhere secure.
Can we back up to him jumping off the crane? As I've been thinking about this, and we were gonna do this roast of the movie, right? I thought that was so intense, but it was too early in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was so intense at this very early part of the movie, the rest of the movie it just felt cheap.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, I'm not really that.
Well, they tried to recreate tense moments.
Yeah.
Later, but they were not as good as that one.
Well, and my wife, I'm sitting next to her, and she's like, I can't breathe, and I'm just like, look. We're 30
She's 9
minutes,
months pregnant, by the way.
I'm like, we're 30 minutes into this movie. They're not going to kill him off. Right? And so, because it was so intense at the very beginning of the movie, to me, I wasn't caught up in it because I thought, there's no risk that he's actually going to die.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have the rest of the movie.
It's like
and
half
it's
an hour.
only been 30 minutes.
Right? And I thought there was a moment with when the kids. I thought when the kids was going to die.
Yeah,
I really did. Yeah.
So, but this says there's 104 floors in the old World Trade Center.
The fire, that atrium, which looked like it was like 30 stories, is in there. Now the whole thing is engulfed in flame. But The Rock is just conveniently able. He's just not in any danger of the fire. Just his family trying to chase him.
And he shows up wherever he needs to be when he needs to be there. So there's like 5 times where it's a super intense scene where the kids are being chased by bad guys or the wife's being chased by bad guys. And there he is. There's Dwayne Johnson.
That's what happens. He gets up there, and they're on this big catwalk that goes across the entire thing or something to go to the elevator or whatever.
How wide is this building? Maybe it's just a single floor, 90 stories up.
And it's pretty big. So he gets up the catwalk, and yeah, so this is the waterfall room. The catwalk goes to the elevator, and they get there. The mom and the two kids, they go across this this catwalk to get over. Not I say catwalk, it's a bridge. Get over to the elevator, and then out come the two bad guys.
When you say waterfall, does it mean fountain?
No, it's an actual waterfall. Yeah. Flowing waterfall, which does nothing. I mean, it was there for scenery in the opening sequence where he takes the elevator ride.
This is an actual skyscraper somewhere.
No. Just look at pictures of it. Yeah. Oh, look great though. But anyway, so he gets over there, and now the terrorists come out and they're like, "You have to come with us. We're with security, or we're going to save you." And he's like, "Okay." And then they like pull. I don't remember what happens. They pull a gun or whatever, and now they turn around and start to run. The bad guy grabs Sarah, and he's holding her. The kids are running away. So they're running all the way down this long bridge. It was pretty long. They get away, and then she turns around and stabs the guy with a syringe or a pair of scissors or something.
Well, she was
a nurse. Too. Yeah, she was an ex-military nurse. Is that convenient?
FBI, show me your hands! I just put my sword down, you know. Without that bad luck,
you're gonna be okay.
I never would have met Sarah.
Well, that's how they met in the beginning. Wasn't that precious? Oh, whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't go through 7 years of medical school for me to call her nurse. Well, she had that. So she stabs the guy with a gun to her head, and then this big, huge. This is when the crane fell, right, or something.
It's just
so many times, some big object came and crushed the middle of the bridge. So now the bridge is broken. She's on one side, elevator and terrace. Yeah, and the kids are out on the bridge wherever that goes. So she turns around and the guy with the gun's coming at him, but guess who?
What? Did she stab a staff into the bridge and say, "You shall not"?
No, which would have been better. But instead, The Rock shows up magically by the elevator where they were trying to get to the elevator. He's just there at the elevator, comes out and uses the Jedi run all the way. It shows him he come around the corner, this big reveal. He's here, but she was already way down here. He shows up in a second, just like his powers. He just fly, he just go wherever it needs to be. Goes over, takes out the guy, and now there's this tense moment where they have to get to the kids across the bridge. Oh no! So what do?
It's okay to be scared.
Hold on, let me hold up the bridge.
He gets the tension wires. Like Superman or Spider-Man holding the train together. He's like pulling, he's like, "Sarah, gotta get him, I can't hold it." So she takes this little plank.
Wait, hold on. Back up for a second. Like, okay.
The bridge is unsteady.
I get his arms are hanging onto the cables, but what's keeping his feet on the ground?
He's just standing. It's The Rock. He's just that, a foundation. So he's holding the cables. He's like, "I got it steady for you." So she lowers this rubbery plank. I swear it's like rubber, it's like bending. And she doesn't crawl across. She walks. She walks across. One of the kids disappeared. Why did she have both kids? I don't remember. One of them got captured or something. Something dumb.
One of them, she was up at the waterfall.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one, yeah. So
how high is the waterfall?
It's pretty high.
Waterfall.
Yeah, it's like stories and stories and yeah. Yeah. So she gets over there, she gets the kid, and the kid has asthma. So she doesn't like help the kid, doesn't crawl, doesn't take it carefully. She puts the kid on her back, and she starts walking across the plank, and he's like, "I can't go this." So it starts shifting, and then it starts to fall, and then they jump, right? If I remember.
She runs really quick. Before she's like barely going. And then she starts running.
And you're like, "Oh, happy day." They have a big partial family hug.
I gotta get you out of this building. And I need you to be brave right now, okay?
Yeah.
Dad loves you.
Me.
Oh, and you're just taken out of it.
Please tell me that's
no, this is we're halfway in. So now he's like, "Sarah, you gotta get the kids and go out because our daughter's still up in the terrace." So the terrorists come and grab the daughter. They can just ninja in and out of the room whenever they need to. So Sarah, their plan to get Sarah out of the building, he takes the axe, chops the cord on the elevator, and this elevator flies down like 100 floors or something, and then breaks. She has to hit the brake while that's going down on the rail. Suddenly, for some reason, the elevator starts collapsing and bending and breaking. I was like, "What is happening?"
Hold on. 3, 2,
this elevator is supposed to like this in this building that's like indestructible to the fire, and the structural integrity never weakens. It just the elevator's like crunching in on them. I don't understand how the G-force whatever was causing that. But they get down and they escape. Enter their relationship with Asian pal. I called him Asian pal because it was supposed to be Asian, and but it was supposed to be like Officer Powell from Die Hard. This character was the stupidest part of the movie. I hated it. He came in. He's like the special officer on the stage. He's like, I'm gonna take care. What do we got going on here? Let's see what's happening. He did nothing the entire movie. So they just keep watching the news footage, and he's like cheering for the Rock because why wouldn't you cheer for the Rock? They've seen his movies before. So she gets down there and she's like, they gotta be escaping somehow. How are they gonna get off? And they're like, well. They draw a map and they're like, well, they're gonna paraglide or whatever off the building, and it's gonna be here, here, or here. Oh, the only place is here. And she's like, take me there. He's like, we can't spare the manpower to go cover everything. She's like, why? What are they gonna do? The fire's on building. They're not entering the building.
It was really weird. They're like, yeah, this could be one of the places, but we're not gonna go there.
So she's like,
we don't have enough.
Then let me go. It's like, what is she gonna do? It's like the only way that he's like, I don't have men to take you or to go there myself. Oh, but you want to go? Okay, my men will drive you. I was like, what
that didn't make sense that there weren't enough.
God, it's like all of Hong Kong or wherever they were, like shows up there. It's just so funny.
So what are the terrorists like?
They're just trying to get a flash drive. That's it. There's a flash drive that has all this guy's information. That's all the network. That's it. It's all for a flash drive. It's nothing. So the guy, he allows her in there, and he's just secretly rooting for him. And that'll come up later. So now we have The Rock getting, and now he has this new special mission. I think this was supposed to be the more tense part, where he has to access, what is it he had to access behind the...
It was an override. He had to be able to get to use the rest of the building.
Skyscraper with a freaking windmill going in the middle of it. It was freaking huge. I know, but it's like, I have to get to this one spot behind the windmill part. So he breaks the glass, puts duct tape around his hands, and he's like Spider-Man outside the building.
It was like Mission Impossible.
No, it was not. That was well done.
No, but that's what they were trying to
recreate. Yeah, no.
But it was
wait. So the duct tape,
inside out. So he does that. He has duct feet on his feet, and he's like, oh, he does make duct tape the whole time. And then he starts, so he takes this big stone column or something to wedge on. And this was supposed to recreate this famous Die Hard scene where he ties the fire hose, jumps off the building, very dramatic.
Please don't let me die.
But this one's not. He gets out there with duct tape, scaling the side of the building, goes around the corner, and nothing. He doesn't fall. I was like, well, that was kind of pointless. He gets there, he gets in the windmill. But my favorite thing about it was in Die Hard when John McClane's like in the what's it called, the ducks and everything. When he's in there, he's looking around, he's trying to figure stuff out, he's talking to himself. When he's talking to himself, he's talking to himself. What are you gonna do, John? What do you do? Where are you going? Oh, I gotta do this. What are they doing? Han, what are you doing? He's like talking to himself like a real person who's like in a panicky situation. The Rock is talking to the audience. He's like, all right, he hit it behind the windmill. I better go to the windmill to push the magic button. And he's talking to himself. He's just like that. It's not like emotional or nothing.
The Rock is not a bad actor.
Well, I'm just saying that exactly. I'm not blaming him for anything. He did what he could do with this movie. But I was like, it's like insulting the audience that we can't figure it out, or they were just lazy writing like, well, we better communicate that they have to find this button behind the duct. But whenever that kind of exposition happened in Die Hard, he was talking emotionally. He was either talking to Power, talking to Hans on the communicator, or he was ranting to himself.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
It wasn't to move the plot along. It was just filler to show that his emotional state. This was like, but this is what I need to do.
He's like, what were you doing with the detonators on the roof? He's like talking to himself, thinking things out, figuring it out, and communicating that to the audience. But this one is just like, it's like The Rock's like, I'm going to hold the script up for the camera so I can know what I'm going to do. It was just so he was just talking out loud to himself, and it was just so awkward. Anyway, so he gets in there, turns off the power button. Now there's a big explosion, and the thing's gonna the thing's gonna start chopping again, and so he has to jump, of course. So this is the Die Hard jump.
By the way, he drank the dodgeball.
So there you go. Jumps out through the blades spinning, and now we have the moment where he swings, and then the whole thing falls, and the duct tape does him no good, and he's just dangling, about to fall from the building. And I can't remember, he starts unraveling or something like that, because it was, he had it tied. Oh, this rope. I'm sorry, this rope that came out of nowhere. This magic silk rope came right out of the wall, literally.
It was for the blind.
Okay. It's like, building's like not complete. He's like, got some rope in this room. I need a rope. Anyway, so he's dangling down there. And now we have the part where he goes upside down and it was tied to his foot, his broken foot, the fake foot. So, which we've already seen this thing pop off 3 times in the movie. Now he's falling full weight from the building, and the rope is tied, and he lands upside down, and it holds.
It doesn't slip off his leg.
So he bends up and he climbs, and you're watching him. He's like 4 floors down is how far this rope is dangling.
It does eventually. It pops off of his leg, and he
grabs it.
In order to be brave, you gotta be a little scared.
Somehow he's able to use that momentum to turn around.
But it wasn't an instant snap. Full weight, 5 floors.
Make a joke about it.
No. He just grabs, but you can hear the audience down cheering. It's just, he climbs, and they're like watching her like on TV. Like, oh my gosh, she almost died. I'm sure your wife was fine at that point.
So wait, hold on. So there's a skyscraper on fire about to collapse. How close is the audience to the skyscraper?
They're below it.
They seem a little
and
far
stuff
back.
Kept falling off.
Yeah, the whole time. And it's just like when they look down, you saw a car is moving right under the building.
Falling, 1,000 meters.
As soon as he grabs his leg, literally, he's like 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, or floors down. They start cheering, and he's like, and it's so hard to pull on a silk rope for a curtain with your upper body strength. But instantly, he's at the top. It's like, it didn't take a moment to appreciate the strain or anything.
How far did he fall?
He fell really far.
It was pretty far. I'm not exaggerating.
Back to the top of the skyscraper.
Well, to the floor he was at, where the hole was, yeah. So he fell out of the glass, went pretty, floors down, and then he reached back up, grabbed it, and next shot, he's, right at the top. It's like, just give us a second to see him straining. I mean, Wesley strained more in The Princess Bride climbing the cliff. So I was like, this is to just see how difficult it was. He's just right back up the top. They did that several times. It made me nuts. Anyway, so now he's up at the top. So now he's up at the top, gets back in, and now he's like, I gotta just talk to the guy. And they basically blackmail him that he has to get the flash drive or get into the room because he knows everything.
Yeah.
Spending 1 day checking the fire alarms, he knows everything about this building. So he has to get where the president guy has used his magic controls on his watch to get and lock himself in the closet in his office. The Rock's like, the only way I'm going to get my daughter is to get in and get him. So
president guy,
the guy that owns the building, the guy who they're trying to get his flash drive, he's the hostage, and he's hidden himself in the building or in his office. So, then they had the helicopter pad scene, but I don't want to get into how funny that was. But he has the plot. Now, how does he get into the building? I'm trying to remember. How does The Rock get into the room, the secret room, or
so
the
he
office?
Opened the room by going out
to the turbines?
Yeah.
Okay, so that unlocked it?
Yeah.
So he goes in, and now there's this standoff with the gun.
No, first the doors are closing, and what does he use to stop it from closing?
Oh, his leg! His big, huge blast door. He climbs under, and just pulls his leg. So why'd you leave it open? And when
is his leg?
It's just the bottom part, knee down. I mean, The Rock's a tall guy, so he was like this, but he's still.
Oh, so he puts it in this way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not like putting his foot inside, like there's a kick into it. But anyways, I forgot about that. Oh, so he gets inside and has a showdown with the guy, and he's like, "We're gonna figure this out." He's like, "I'm not letting you kill my or let my daughter
This whole
die."
time he's doing that, he's hopping around the room.
Not much. Like he didn't really act like he was on one leg like at all. He just kind of just shuffles right in. His like camera stays halfway up. His long dress pants, so you can't even see that he doesn't even have a leg. It wasn't as good as Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. I'll say that. So he gets in, and then he talks to me. He says he has gunpoint. He's like, "You're gonna go up. We're gonna deal with this." So then they get into the room, which you knew the final sequence was going to be in the invisible room. There's this room, Lance, where you walked out into. I think it's in the trailer. I'm pretty sure it is. You walk out there, and he activates his magic watch, and there's cameras on the outside of the building and the inside of the building, and they project each other so it turns invisible. Why?
Well,
Like
No,
it's
it's-
very top
what
floor.
Yeah,
really
like
doesn't
almost
make
the top
sense
one.
about that room is all of the random
Yeah.
mirrors.
So yeah, little angled mirror just project up out of the floor for nothing.
So are they trying to do Into the Dragon?
I was thinking of Total Recall, where he had the doppelganger thing in the scene where you didn't know where the bad guy was or whatever, or
You're talking about the Bruce Lee, where there's all the mirrors. It's just like that at the end, where they're like, "Oh, I'm shooting you, but I'm shooting a mirror," right?
Yeah. So, but they go in there, and there's like 5 guys, fully automatic weapons, chasing the girl. They don't care about the girl being alive. They just need to get her because she had the flashlight or whatever. But they don't start just shooting the mirrors. They start walking around the room. I was like, this is starting opening fire. You have like 4 guys. So they go in there, and then the Rock's fighting everyone. They have the big switcheroo at the end and everything. And then
The Rock does like the 300, kick him off.
Yeah.
Kicks him off.
With no leg.
Well, he had his prosthetic.
Meanwhile, while this is happening, back down on the ground with Asian Powell, she talks him into going to the extraction site. So the cops, all of them, even him, who didn't believe the story in the first place, goes with them to the site. And now there's the terrorists coming out. And the terrorists come in. They're having this big shoot off with all the cops. And then the main cop, the Agent Powell, is sitting there close to the car where they brought her. Since they decided to go check it out anyway, I don't understand why they took her. So they took her, and she goes over with the tablet. She had the other girl had the tablet
from the bed.
So the bad guy girl, the martial arts, like this assassin girl, comes out, and she sneaks around all of them and is trying to get back right by the car where Sarah's at. So Sarah kicks open the door real quick to distract her and then punch her, and then they get into this big fight in the car in a limousine with a swinging door and gunfire. Well, there's no gunfire right there.
Honking the horn.
Yeah, but the cop is right there. He doesn't even notice it. And so she finally honks the horn, and that gets the attention. But
she honks the horn multiple times.
I thought that's how she gets. He's just like, oh.
Yeah,
Does I leave my back to you? I'm sorry. But he doesn't even notice all this commotion literally like 5 feet from where he is. So she was lined up to shoot him, and then she stops it. So then he gets in there, he gets the tablet. Now, the special ops guy goes, "What is that?" And he's like, "It's a tablet." He's like, "Well, don't you think we should have my men check?" He's like, "No, I don't have time for that." And he's just like, "Okay." He doesn't stop her. She has this evidence, and that could be the problem. It could like solve the thing. Could explode the whole building. He doesn't know what, but he lets this civilian just take it and just go into her own hands and do everything. He's like, "Okay, then. Yes, you were right about everything. I'll just let you do whatever you want." So she does it, and then she shuts it up.
That's the best part.
Instantly. But which was another funny thing. The hacker they got, who hacked through the system, once he unlocked it, they killed him for nothing.
Oh, so cliche too.
I was
like, I am the only person in the world who knows how to hack this.
Why did you do that? If you don't need him, we kill him later. It's not like he's getting his cut right now. It's like so stupid. So anyway, all these cliches just add up to an amazing movie. So at the end,
I haven't heard, so is this movie like self-aware of how
no, I don't feel like it. I didn't feel like it. It was trying so desperately to recreate these moments. And the worst of all, the biggest insult to the things they were trying to do, at the very end, before the worst line of the whole movie, the Rock gets down. Long story short, Rock gets down. Long story short, he gets down to the ground. He's reunited with his family. He wins and everything. And just remember the moment, and I've only seen it once or twice, but there's the greatest, most emotional moment in Die Hard is at the end of the movie. He's already got Holly. He gets out, and McClane steps out of the building, bleeding, and with the towel, the blanket wrapped around him and everything. And he's just like looking around, and all the cops and everyone's just running and scurrying and taking care of everything. And then standing in the back behind all the commotion is Powell. And they lock eyes. They've never seen each other. They don't know what they look like. And they see each other and they just connect. And they knew who they were and that they were the support that they had for the whole movie and this emotional, this whole thing that kept McClane rational and confident and feeling like people cared, that kept it all together to keep his sanity, that he could perform what he did. And then this moment, and then he comes up and they just embrace, and it's beautiful and so well done. The music, just laugh, they start crying on each other's shoulders right before Carl comes out with the gun.
Alan's my wife, Holly. Holly Gennaro.
Holly McClane.
Hello, Holly. You got yourself a good man. You take good care of him.
But it's an amazing moment. In this movie, he comes out, and Asian pal comes up, he's like, "That's quite the family you have there." I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you even talking to him?
Before that, he gets down and he's like yelling for his family.
Oh yeah, they
like
had the
Rocky.
Adrian moment. Adrian, and that was okay, because that's how it was in Die Hard 2. In Die Hard 2, they have all the planes land after he created the fire, and they come out, and so he's like all these planes that he doesn't know if Holly's alive. He's like, Holly, he couldn't find her, and that was a good moment. They tried to pull that, but I thought more like Rocky too. Yeah, so it came out, and so he hugs him, and then Asian Powell's like, "That's a good family you got there. So it's nice to meet you." He's like, "Who's this guy?" Doesn't even know what he did.
So is the fire put out at this time?
No, the fire doesn't get. Oh no, it does. I'm sorry. So the funny thing of the whole movie is, like, he's this technical support, and he's helped her with her phone, and he says, all you gotta do is turn it off and turn it back on again. So she crashes the system and reboots it, and then everything works. That's how they solve the fire. So then
his fire depressant systems work really well if the building's been on fire for a few hours.
Right.
Like, you just gotta turn them on, and then it's, you know.
So that's my favorite line of the whole movie. So you have The Rock, his family, everything's fine. They don't need to go to the hospital, and they don't need, he's got his legs, he's fine. That's super leg, never had any problems. And he didn't need to go, fill any reports or anything. They're just like, oh, you're fine. And then he holds his family. In the background, you see the building completely on fire and like broken and half missing. And he looks to his face like, let's go home, guys. Fire, their building's on fire. And they walk past the camera with their home behind them engulfed. And they're like, where are they gonna go? They don't have anywhere to go. They don't live there. They live in the building that just died. And
so how could they go home?
That's the point. I was like, what did you write that for? Let's go home.
Go to our new home.
Yeah, I was like, they're gonna go to a motel? I was like, oh my gosh, it had to be on purpose.
To go back to the beginning, it doesn't make sense.
Well, so the reason I asked about the comedy thing is this director, like, I saw all the movies he did, they're all comedies. So
it didn't. It was not. This was not a parody.
This was a straight up action.
Yeah,
maybe this was him trying to break out of the comedy mode, but he didn't quite get there.
No, but it was. But the thing is, it did have tense moments. It didn't have.
I don't know. They just they didn't feel tense to me. They were too early.
The whole plot, everything was just so shallow. It was like no depth to the story, no depth to any characters. Kind of, yeah, really. It was written like it was a comedy, but it was just
so over the top. Yeah. Everything was like so extreme that it was like, you gotta have some sort of We have to suspend our disbelief for movies normally. Yeah, but this is like. Yeah, right? Like, and
it was just like all the conveniences, the writing, like everything, the dialogue they used, the where the terrorists showed up, how the whole plan and his fitting into the plan, his experience, her experience, the cops, what they were doing, like everything just wrapped up into a nice little action story bow with no tension and no depth, no intrigue, nothing new. And that was the only problem I had with it. It was like, well, it was lazy. I mean, those little things like missing that their building they were living in is on fire behind them. Like, let's go home. Little things like that. It was like you were just trying to write a fun rock movie that was, I don't mean like a rock star movie. I mean The Rock, the star movie. Anyway,
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, he's trying to write a fun movie that would sell tickets on the premise of a movie that people loved, which was Die Hard, and several of the movies that were thrown in there too. But nothing worked. I think a lot of people, as far as I said, if you want to see this in the theater, I don't know. If people really love The Rock, they'd enjoy it. And Josh doesn't even want to see it. Josh loves The Rock. But I think that's its only its biggest weakness is there was no depth. There was not everything was just very surface. There was no complication in the plot. There was no intrigue with the characters. But that was my biggest thing. And I was just like everything that happened, I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? And I was like, I mean, I'm bad with plot sometimes, but I think I followed most of it. And nothing shocked me, nothing excited me. There were moments that were filmed really well, and there was lighting that was done well. The effects, it looked like a good building on fire. It looked great.
It was entertaining, right? It served its purpose of it. It was an action flick, and that's really all it was. Yeah. There was a lot of cool action scenes and fights and fire.
Very predictable.
Very predictable.
Everything was predictable.
It's not a great movie. No. I don't even know if it's a good movie. But
it was entertaining.
It's entertaining.
But not funny. If you want to go for a good funny action movie,
watch Dodgeball by the same director.
But yeah, this was it was just weak in like every area except for visually. Visually, it was really good. Am I just overplaying that? I think visually it looked great.
Looked cool. There were cool shots but just the plot. There was just too many.
You couldn't not think about it. I mean, I don't think I'm too critical of movies. Everyone else thinks I am, but I couldn't not think like, okay, that was dumb, or okay, that was dumb, or okay, that was dumb. And the whole time I just kept comparing and thinking about other movies that with that same similar moment, mostly Die Hard. I was like, they just didn't pull it off at all. And I was just the whole time. That's all my mind was doing. So it's an entertaining movie. I personally wasn't entertained. So anyway, so Lance, after that, do you have any interest in seeing it? Did you before? Would you after anything we had said? No. Could we have sold you? Okay. Anyway, so as far as our normal review, this wasn't really a review. I just wanted to get this all out.
For some reason, The Rock just like his track record just
hit and miss. But I actually am beginning to appreciate him more. But yeah, I don't get excited every time there's a new Rock movie. And so I think this is all this was like, oh, we got to sell some tickets and we'll put The Rock in it. They'll come buy it for him. And that's it. It's like they wrote a movie to make a movie for him. They wrote the script for a time to put The Rock on camera. That's what it felt like. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and to The Rock's credit, he did wrestling. And I'm not saying wrestling is bad, but it's not well known for its awesome scripts or dialogue. So The Rock will probably read anything. He'll be like, oh, I don't care if this is stupid. I've been a wrestler for most of my life. So I'll read it.
The start of his career was definitely not off of really, really good movies. But he's had some good movies in him. So I think he's a talented performer. I'm gonna say performer, not actor. There's a difference. But I think he can pull off acting.
No, I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I'm saying that
I know what you're saying.
He won't be the director. He won't be like, this dialogue sucks. Can I say something else? He'll just read it.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about him to work. I mean, I've heard from people in Hollywood. I mean, not personally heard from them, but I mean, I've heard people talk about how he's really easygoing and everything in Hollywood, which was for as big of a star as he is a pretty big credit to him. But I'm not the one trying to make movies. I'm just enjoying them. And this one, I more enjoyed preparing for this video than I did actually experiencing the movie itself. So anyway.
Wait, are you saying this review is far better than the actual
That's not what I said. I said I enjoy.
No, if you did, I would agree with you.
I enjoyed getting my thoughts down for some of this. There's a lot of stuff I missed. I don't have to pull up my notes. But I enjoyed this talking about the movie more than I experienced in the movie. But anyway, Andrew, anything else you want to say?
No, it just doesn't make sense.
The whole movie.
Wait. So let me get this straight. This movie doesn't make sense.
You got it.
That's it. Oh boy. Anyway, if you want to watch a good movie, go watch Die Hard.
By the way, for some reason, Tim wrote like 200 pages of notes.
I wrote 5 pages.
He hasn't looked at any of them except for the very first page.
Yeah. There's plenty we could have more talked about, but this was plenty. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all. If you ever have a job where you are given a tablet to conveniently go through all the schematics.
Sorry, hold on. I got a question about the tablet.
That was
the tablet an Apple product? I'm just curious.
I don't think so.
See that a lot.
There wasn't a lot of product placement.
No. So it was just generic.
Duct tape
was the product.
Yeah. Like 5 scenes with duct tape and multiple dialogue or lines with dialogue.
He's like taping up his shoulder. He's like,
always need enough. There's always need enough.
He says like, if it's not tight, if it's not sticking, you
don't
have enough.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the trailer.
Yeah. So anyway, so this video was brought to you by duct tape. I'm not duct tape. So anyway, go see it. If you disagree with what I thought was annoying, or if you had other annoyances you want to get off your chest, you can leave them in the comments below. If you like this movie, you can defend it in the comments below.
Everyone will make fun of you.
You will?
Yes.
Okay, Lance will. I'll be a little more diplomatic.
I'll probably win
it.
the argument, even though I haven't seen the movie.
He will. Lance doesn't get on there very often. But anyway, I want to give a thanks to Andrew and Lance for joining me today. Josh, you missed out on this one. You should have gone to see it because it was a riot.
Oh, Josh, you're
All right. But anyway, we'll catch you next time on Saints on Cinema. Thanks for watching.